Yeah, his videos are great.
I haven't really watched any, no.
I got a
you gotta
heart
watch
from
him.
him the other day on a YouTube comment because it was about, actually, we'll break right into this. It was about Plessinger going to KTM, and I commented and said it's the worst fucking move he can make in his career.
You think?
And I got a heart. Yeah.
Cody, you like going to Yamaha weed whackers.
Yeah, that was funny. I think Plessinger going to KTM is a terrible. I think it's career suicide here. Honestly,
Well,
we've seen he doesn't do suit and tie well.
Yeah, me and Travis kind of talked about this on the last show, the wrap up, because
If you'd have answered your phone, you would know this, Cole.
see me and Travis kind of differ on this, but I agree with where his idea of why that, because he doesn't suit and tie. Like, he thinks that Roger and Ian are going to kind of take away AP7, and he's going to have to be Aaron Plessinger. Whereas I think that if they let him be a little bit relaxed, because let's be real, Roger and Ian have been around for a very long time. They've dealt with, not lately, but like at least Roger, like he dealt with some pretty crazy people back in the 90s. If they let him be AP7, we know the bike is proven. We know the bike's good. I think it'll fit his style. But Travis just thinks that they're not going to let him do that, and he's going to go back to being, I'm pissed off all the time. I don't get to be the Dale Earnhardt Jr. mustache and the wild hair. And that's where Travis thinks that it's not going to work for
He's
AP.
not doing it for Dale on KTM.
I agree with that, but who is the last guy that KTM's really had that's been a little more wild like AP that you can think
Dino?
of? Dungy, pretty straight edge.
No.
Marv, pretty straight edge guy.
Mm-hmm.
Coop,
Justin Hill?
I mean, Justin Hill was hurt half the time.
Yeah.
What about Dino?
No, because Dino, he wasn't there.
He
long.
never
wasn't there
really
enough.
even
Wasn't there
rode
long.
enough to show.
And he didn't have the YouTube channel going then, so like his attitude was a little different. I mean,
all right.
I
But-
think you would have to go back
You
to
said it
Nate
wrong.
Ramsey.
It's YouTube.
I said YouTube?
YouTube. That's
You-
how he says it.
YouTube?
YouTube.
Nate Ramsey. You'd have to go probably back to Nate Ramsey when he was
Jesus
More of a wild guy.
Yeah, Nate. Well, I mean, his nickname was Nate Dogg.
You look at Coop though, and Coop, he can still kind of be Cooper, but when they need to pull the leash back, they'll pull it back. If they can find that right balance with Aaron, I think he'll be fine.
I don't know. Coach, what do you think?
I would say that everything that you guys said was correct, and it's going to be this typical, if AP comes out and starts winning everything, I don't think it'll happen, but let's say he does, just for the sake of conversation, he can do whatever the hell he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it over and over again, whether it was McGrath or Emig or anybody else. When you're at the top of that spear, you pretty much can drive the ship however you want. Now, I do agree, Roger, he does tend to be a little bit more corporate. He tends to be a little bit more squared. But, going back all the way to when Jeremy McGrath and that last hurrah with KTM, I know Roger wasn't there at the time, but I hate to say it, but these teams let these guys pretty much, when they're winning everything, and do whatever they want. It's when they start having a couple hits in their notch where now they're at second or third or fifth, that's when you're going to see them start to really sit down, like you said, start taking away the personality of Plessinger because, hey, look, you're not producing results. Now we're going to sit hard on you. You're getting the results. You can do whatever the hell you want. So I think it could go either way. I know that's kind of an obvious statement, but the only thing that's going to really time itself is going to play it out. Because if he does come out swinging, I mean, let's face it, if we look at the pattern that Plessinger's on, if you go from who won the 250 championship for Yamaha 250, go to Yamaha 450 that didn't perform, Barsha, Webb, now Ferrandis. There's a laundry list of guys that won on the 250 that went to 450 and couldn't make anything happen. So where did Webb go? He went over to KTM, pretty solid results. And so it's pretty hard to argue the fact that if you couldn't wrestle down the Yamaha, the KTM is going to be a little bit easier to tame. We know the power plant is there, the suspension is there, R&D is there. Now, are they going to squash that personality? I personally, this is no dig on Plessinger or anybody else, I have a really, really hard time with this bullshit about, I'm not having fun. Well, you know what? It's a job. It's not supposed to always be fun. It's a fucking job. Do your job.
Oh, I agree.
I have such a problem with that. In my opinion, my biased opinion, real champions lean into the idea that it's not always fun, and they embrace that. Go, hey, this is part of the job. I'm going to enjoy the money and the financial independence and the travel and all those that come with it. But I don't know anybody that's a welder that's going to look in the eyes and tell you he loves his job every single day. He may be passionate about it, he may be good at it, but there's just going to be days it's hard. And I get really fed up with these guys. Well, I'm not having any fun anymore. You're fucking racing a dirt bike for a living. Get over it.
Yeah, I mean,
Just learn to take the good with the bad, man. Come on.
I think it's also going to be good for Aaron though because he's going to be back with Coop. I mean, him and Coop,
Yeah.
they're friends. Like, I don't know about what his relationship with Marvin is, but like him and Coop are friends. And I'm not saying that the people that
Are you
Aaron's
saying him and Marv don't get along? Do we need to get some pictures of them spotting each other in the gym?
Oh, my
because
God.
they're fine.
Okay. Well, I'm
Everything
saying
is
I don't
fine.
know. I'm just
Nothing's wrong.
okay. All right. So my point is that I don't really know in the last couple of years, like the people that Aaron's been riding with at Yamaha, like if he's been necessarily friends with him. I wouldn't say that he had beef, but I don't think him and Barsha were necessarily close. I know he was riding at his house, but not like him and Coop. You know, I don't know about on the current team who he was buddies with, but him and Coop are actual friends, and I think that that's also gonna help him adjust to being a KTM, you know. But I also agree with what Coach is saying. Like, you get to ride a fucking dirt bike for a living. Like, really? I understand there's pressures with it, but it's a job. You're getting paid millions of dollars to ride a dirt bike for a living. There's a lot worse things you could be doing that you could be pissed off about.